to Deer Feet. I'm Jess.
And I'm Renee.
And we're the Deerfoot Sisters. This week, we weren't sure what to talk about. So we decided to go to our fans, our listeners.
Trusty fans.
Trusty, dusty fans.
Dusty.
Speaking of things that rhyme with trusty, have you been watching Curb Your Enthusiasm?
No.
Okay.
Does that rhyme with trusty?
No, but there's a character on it who made his own nickname, and his nickname was Rusty.
Oh.
So, anyway.
Yeah, I'm not a fanatic of that show, so I don't really watch it regularly, but sometimes Tim watches it, so I see some episodes. I'm just going to close that cabinet because it's really bothering me that it's open.
Okay. Well, anyway, this season is interesting because it's like all the episodes are like 45 minutes.
Is that longer than usual or
Usually
shorter?
they're half an hour because it's a comedy.
Interesting.
So,
Well, HBO kind of doesn't really, ascribe to set run times for shows.
They used to, though.
They just, all willy-nilly with it.
They used to more so do, half an hour.
Yeah.
But, of course, it was longer because...
No commercial breaks.
Or if they wanted to have a shorter episode, they would do less commercial breaks. Because a normal, drama on TV is really only, 42 minutes if you take out the commercials or something.
Right. So
they could probably keep it to a similar schedule, but make it longer and just show less commercials before the next thing.
Right.
So, well, before we get into it, let's just remind you guys about our live stream that we're going to be doing. I feel like we'll probably do it. Oh, I wanted to say the 21st, but we have book club. Well, we could do it before book club.
Book club doesn't last all day.
Yeah, we could probably do it at 4, but see, that might be too early. It might be better to do it in the evening.
What time does book club start?
I think it starts at 7. I guess we could do it at 6 on Saturday. Well,
just
you
do it
guys,
on the 28th.
Because we have Zoe.
So? She doesn't even talk.
That's true. I guess we could do it at Katie's house.
Well,
all right.
Whatever. Live stream with a baby. Guest star, Zoe Fagiano.
Anyway. Okay, so we'll figure it out, what we're going to do. But you guys let us know what time works best for you, if you want to.
Right. If you feel like you really want to participate, reach out and tell us what time works for you. And since that will probably only be 2 or 3 people, we can probably make it work. Or on your schedule.
True. Very, very true. Okay, so yeah, we have an intern that started, she's almost worse at social media management than Renee.
Yeah.
Her name's Sarah. Her name's
you may
Sarah
hear
Priya.
her. Sometimes
she's a dog.
She wishes that she could be talent on show, but she's usually relegated to a cage during production. But sometimes her sighs break through. She's kind of sassy. Right now she's sleeping on the job.
Sometimes her thumping tail breaks through.
That's true. And her
chain.
Jangly chains.
That reminds me, sometimes, I didn't watch all of American Horror Story this season. Did you watch it? Oh, no, you didn't watch it, right?
I didn't watch any of it.
1984.
Oh, no, I didn't watch any.
So there's a character, Mr. Jangles, who's a murderer.
Isn't that... Oh, the jangly man from Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Remember?
Well, don't remind me. I don't really need to know, more about things that jangle.
Yeah.
But he didn't really jangle. He was just...
No, he was just named that.
But this guy's Mr. Jangles, but because he had, a bunch of keys. He was, the janitor or whatever. So, anyway, it reminds me of that sometimes. Not that he doesn't actually scare me, because it actually turned out... Oh, sorry. Spoiler alert. He was actually pretty good. He was
a red herring.
Covering for someone who was bad. But
that's kind of bad. I would say, but...
I know. Okay. But anyway, it just makes me laugh sometimes because she jangles, and I'm like, Mr. Jangles. Did you leave that light on?
No, it's...
Okay. So, every day I come home, that light is on, right?
I told you, sometimes I leave it on.
You said you leave it off so that it doesn't go off when you're downstairs.
Oh, yeah, I forgot I said that.
And then ever since you said that, I try to turn it off whenever I see it. Because I'll turn it off at night, but, I just was I'll turn it off whenever I see it on. And then I've noticed that every time I've come home, it's on. And
I usually do laundry, so I have to turn it on. But I didn't go down there today, so I didn't turn it on.
I see. Okay. Interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway. So, yeah, since Sarah flaked on us and didn't come up with a great topic for this week, We went to you guys, the listeners.
To the you guys.
Fans. I always want to say the fans, but they could listen. They could be hate listening.
Do you think?
I mean, I don't. Because, like, we haven't gotten any kind of feedback like that, but...
I know. Imagine if we got, like, a really bad review or something on, like, Apple Podcasts.
I feel like our worst feedback that we get is Mom saying that we're rambling too much.
Yeah.
Or that we were too silly, which I'm like...
Or Tim saying that we're boring. But he just says that to me.
Yeah.
Be less boring. Like, sorry, I'll try.
I don't think other people find us boring. But also, like...
I find us entertaining.
It's a little different because Tim, he spends the most time with you.
Right.
And as of late, not really. But, like, a while ago, like, he would probably spend the most time with the two of us.
Yes.
Now, probably Mom spends more time with the two of us than Tim. But for a while, we were always doing stuff together. So...
Yeah.
Like
so he's, like, desensitized to our charm because he's always around us.
Or he probably hears, like, the same stuff. Like,
yeah, he's like, oh, I've heard this story 10 times.
Yeah,
like,
or...
Yeah, but it's
they've
new
already
for
talked
other
about
people.
this around me.
It's new for the other non-fan listeners.
Or
but
the
anyway,
new
so
fans.
we did get some good suggestions on our various social media channels.
And some not so great ones. So, we posted it through our Dear Feet podcast.
Instagram.
No, Dear Feet podcast Facebook page. The Instagram is at Dearfoot Sisters, but on Facebook it's Dear Feet podcast. So go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. We have more followers on Instagram than we have on Facebook, so I'm trying to beef up that Facebook presence.
Yeah, the old person social media.
So, we got a few comments on both of those, and then I shared it as well to my personal Facebook page, and we got the comment that we should talk about bad and stupid dogs.
Do you know any bad or stupid dogs?
No.
Well, I heard the guy who played McGruff got arrested for something. I saw that on Facebook. I don't know. McGruff the crime dog. I don't know if that's real.
Wait, was it a guy in a costume?
I guess. Or I don't know if it's a cartoon or what. The picture was a guy in a costume.
Okay.
I feel like all dogs are good dogs, pretty much.
I think it's like, I feel like dogs are like children. They can't be bad. They can only be like poorly trained.
True. Yeah, seriously. Like, it's not really a dog's fault if it's bad. It's only its owner's fault. Or
Plus,
it's
what's bad?
abuser's fault.
Yeah, like misbehaves. Or are they saying like evil? Because like a dog can't be evil. I don't think they have like cognition in that way.
They have no mea culpa. I mean, mens rea. But they can be stupid. Dogs can definitely be stupid.
Yes, I think.
But like stupid dogs are great.
I think in that sense, most dogs are pretty stupid. Okay, compared to people, but
I don't know. Most dogs are pretty stupid compared to most people, but I feel like you'd be surprised. I've definitely met dogs that are smarter than some of the people I've met.
So the person that posted it was our uncle.
Yeah.
I'd say he's a bad and stupid uncle.
And in case you were wondering, guys, in the outline, she said that she wanted to work that joke in organically and make it sound natural. So if she fell short, you can let us know. Because it didn't really quite work out that way. But, I mean, you put it in the outline. Make this joke sound natural / organically created. So close. Nice try. Maybe next time don't write it in the outline and it will sound more organic.
This is working out just as I planned.
I only eat organic jokes.
So
locally
beige.
grown. Another topic that we had as a suggestion was...
Wait. I'm not done with the dog thing.
Oh, God. Please don't go on a leash tangent.
No. I wanted to talk about some ways that we know that Sarah's pretty smart.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so our uncle, he secretly loves Sarah. Because whenever he comes by, he always, like, plays with her and, like, wrestles and stuff.
Those rascals. Wrestling rascals.
But, he always calls her stupid. Or actually, he calls her dumb dog. At least it's alliterative.
Evil dog, usually.
He calls her Satan.
Evil satanic dog.
But he does call her dumb dog a lot of times. But
I just call her big girl.
You do?
Yeah, I was like, come on, big girl.
I just call her Sarah Bear.
I call her Sarah Bear, Puppuccino, big girl.
Big girl. She's like, I know I have rolls. Look at
Sometimes
you,
I call her
big
Sassy
girl.
Broad. Yeah. An old lady, too. Because when we go to the dog park, there's, like, so many young pups. And they're like, oh, that dog's fast. And I'm like, yeah. She's also obese and 7.
Is she 7?
Fat and old. Well, her vet work says 6.6, so.
Oh.
She's almost 7. But, yeah, she's like, she does keep up with those little dogs, but.
The young pups.
Yeah.
But she's,
But she's fat. She gets tired easily.
Yeah, but she is smart. Like, it's funny.
And
it's funny because of her vocalizations, because, like, not all dogs do that. Like, because I guess, I don't know, like, not all dogs make that much noise.
No, but some dogs bark. She doesn't really bark, usually. She, like, brays and howls.
She barks when she's, like, mad.
Yeah. And she does that, like, sneezing thing.
Yeah.
She chuffs.
But she's like,
yeah, she, like, whines, but not in, like, a dog whining way.
But she'll whine in a dog
whining
way, too. Like, the one time I was sleeping in the morning, and she wanted to get up or go out to use the bathroom, and she was like...
But she doesn't usually make that sound.
No, she usually is like...
Usually yeah. Or she'll be like... Yeah, you're like, okay, stop sneezing at me. Like, but I think she's pretty smart. So when we first got her, she knew 0 commands. I don't think she really was very well socialized. But now she knows sit, stay, wait, leave it,
she doesn't really...
go to your room.
I mean, she doesn't really do leave it, though.
I mean, she does when we're on walks. Like, if she sees, like, a squirrel or something, if I tell her leave it, she'll, like, disengage and not chase it. Which is pretty good, because she, like, loves to chase squirrels. But the squirrels out here are really ballsy, too. Like, they, like, let her get really close. And I'm like, you're a fat squirrel, and, like, I know she's a big girl, but she's fast. Like, so, I don't know. They're reckless.
I saw a squirrel today, and it was, prancing across the street. You know, when they, like, run really fast, and they almost look like a dolphin or something?
Yeah.
They're so cute.
They're fine. They're
Whatever.
okay.
All right. Anyway, so...
But what other ways did you talk about how she's smart? Did you want to, like, talk about how she got her PhD last summer, or... That was it?
So dumb. I just meant, like, she is actually pretty smart, like... I don't know.
Well, the thing is that, like, I know this is true, and people who are dog people will know, too, that the smarter your dog, the more challenging they can be to train. That's why labs are so easy to train, because they're, like, kind of stupid, but really eager to please. So they're easy to train, because once they get what you want from them, they're going to do it. Whereas Sarah, like, she knows what you want her to do. She just decides it's not worth her time. And she looks at you like, nah. She does, like, a cost-benefit ratio analysis in her head.
Yeah.
And even, like, if you're, like, trying to give her a treat or something, like, sometimes she'll just be like, no, that treat is not worth it to me right now. I'd rather be outside or, like, do whatever, so I'm just going to ignore you. But she definitely knows exactly what you want her to do, and I think that's, like, what makes her smart.
Yeah.
She's no one's pawn.
And then, I don't know, I'm trying to think of, like, other examples of things that she's done that's, like, cute. That just makes me think, like, oh, she's pretty smart.
Well, like, one thing I feel like that helps show she's smart, which I don't know if other people think this, but, like, if we're walking and, like, if our leash is apart and she, like, you know, starts to go around a pole, and I'll be like, hey, and she'll come back and fix herself around the pole. Like, she doesn't get, like, tangled up around a pole and be like, oh, I'm so stupid. I wrapped myself around this pole and I can't fix it. Like, I feel like a lot of dogs are, like, dumb about that. And I'm like, you're so dumb. Just walk around again. And she, like, knows to do that, so. And also, it's kind of funny, like, when we're at the dog park, she likes to run a lot. And there's, like, agility courses at the dog park, but she never goes on top of them. But she's, like, she'll, like, gauge how big she is compared to the other dogs and then, like, use the courses to, like, she'll hide under the ones that the bigger dogs can't fit under. So she'll, like, cut through those and then, like, whip around really fast. And, like, it's just really funny to watch her because she, like, knows exactly which spots she can fit under, like, where they can't get to her. And then she, like, cuts them off and, like, does, like, a fast break the other way. Or she'll, like, do these, like, turns and then, like, throw them off and they'll keep running one direction and she's, like, running the opposite direction. So, yeah, it's pretty fun.
She wasn't really running that much when we went.
It depends. Like, the last time we went to the dog park, she was, like, running with these puppies, and then, like, all the people were, like, laughing so much and, like, cheering about it and, like, videotaping it. It was, like, really funny. I was like...
Wait, were they, like, little puppies?
Yeah, the one was, like, really little, and the other was, like, a 6-month
like, the one
collie.
that goes to summer camp in the,
It was like super floofy, tiny puppy.
Aw.
But it was like tired, so it just kept like eating rocks and laying down.
Did you pet it?
Not really, because it came to me a few times, but it was just like kept running all over. So, but it was cute.
That's funny.
Yeah. So it was just funny because
Would you say they were hooping and hollering?
They really were. Like, it was pretty. They were like saying that the border collie's like really fast, and they're like, "Oh, you got the sprinter, but then you got this fancy footwork." And then Sarah's like doing her like barrel rolls and like doing her fast spins. I don't really know what you call them.
Do a barrel
Almost
roll.
like you know in basketball, like when they say like a pick and roll, where you like set up in front of someone and then you kind of like pivot and roll the opposite way. That's like what she does. So it was just funny. I don't know. Like, it was fun to watch her. And now some random people have a video of her like with their dog.
Speaking of random videos, there's probably about 10,000 videos of me in my bathing suit singing like whatever songs I sing in the pool, TikTok or whatever.
Oh, when you teach baby classes.
Yeah.
I thought you meant like anytime people see you in your bathing suit, they videotape you. And I'm like, I don't really think that's true, Jess. Like, you don't have to be body conscious. Like, I don't think people are just like videotaping you in your bathing suit singing.
They're like, I'm gonna use that later.
No, I know. It is so weird when you're like a teacher of stuff like that and you're like, oh my god, how many of these videos am I in? Or how many pictures am I in?
I know, I'm in a bajillion because every time there's like 12 kids in the class, then there's about 24 people standing on deck filming it. And I'm like, okay.
You're like,
see that sign?
Twinkle, little star.
Yeah, just like Mumbo from Happy Feet.
We don't sing that one anymore, though.
So, what'd you say? Oh, we don't. No, we sing that one with the little babies.
Oh, I guess I don't see that class.
So, another suggestion that we got was to talk about amusement parks. A listener from California, our cousin Christina. Hi, girl. She asked for best amusement parks and favorite rides / attractions. So, we actually did talk about this a little bit in some of our previous episodes, but I think we're going to make it into a weekly segment because I love those, and maybe Renee will come up with a cool name for it one day.
Put me on the spot, girl. You know that's not how my creativity juices work.
Let's get creative.
All right, I'll have to think about it.
Remember that time we promised we'd never get creative again?
No. When would we promise that?
Talking. I was just referencing that
weird video.
So this week's pick, we're going to actually tell you our favorite attractions or rides. So what's an attraction? I was thinking about this. I was like, okay, I know what a ride is. And obviously there's like...
Did you spit all the way onto my phone?
Attraction.
There's like definitely spit on my phone. I don't know but my mouth wasn't open, so I think that's yours.
Could have come out of your own mouth. Could have come out of my mouth. I'm not really sure.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so we know what rides are. We know what thrill rides are.
I think attractions are maybe like the safari or like shows.
The parades.
Sure, parades.
That's like what I was thinking. Okay. So, what's your favorite?
Well, my favorite twist is a water slide.
Okay.
It's called, I don't know how you pronounce it, Ehu's Breakaway. It's at Aquatica in SeaWorld. Oh, whatever, the water park that's attached to SeaWorld in Orlando. And I think they have it in San Antonio too. And it's a drop bottom ride. So you stand in the slide and close the tube. And then the bottom drops out from underneath you. And you rocket down this water slide like so fast. And usually I don't like the really steep water slides because they give me super wedgy, but that one has like a lot of water, so you don't really feel the tube even, like it's so fast. I was like, you don't even really have that much time to be scared because like you try to scream and then it's over and you're like, oh my god. And it's tall, so I think it said you move something like 24 feet per second or something. It's like really fast.
Can you convert that into miles per hour, please?
Not off the top of my head.
We'll do the
But
calculations.
why? Well, you're not going a mile, so just think about how much...
I don't know. Feet per second. Okay, so there's 3,600 seconds a minute. I mean, an hour.
Okay, so...
So you did the calculation?
Yes, it's approximately 16 miles per hour.
It's pretty
fast. If you think about just your body traveling at that speed. Yeah, like... So, it's a lot of fun. I would definitely recommend. It's pretty scary because you get in and you close the tube and it like
You don't close the tube. You get in.
Yeah, there's like a door and you close it around you.
You do?
I don't remember if you close it or it closes. There's like one at There's one at Breakwater Beach that you close yourself, so maybe this one closes automatically. I don't remember. But then when you're in there, that plays the sound of a heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom. So as you're sitting there all nervously waiting for the ground to drop out from underneath you so you can plummet into a pool of raging water, the heartbeat intensifies. Boom, 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 boom. And then poof, you fall right out. And it's very exhilarating.
Yeah, it is fun. The one at Breakwater Beach isn't as good.
Not as good. It's okay.
Why?
It's like, I don't know, it's like a little more rickety, I feel like, so you kind of know before it's gonna like come out underneath you. It doesn't feel as seamless, like the drop, I don't know. So it's like not as, and it's just the slide itself I don't think is as tall.
Oh,
so it's not as fun.
But there's less stairs to walk up.
That's true.
Yeah, Renee went on that ride when we were at Aquatica, and then she told me to go on it, and I was really scared, and I was like about to walk back down because I was gonna check it out, but I did it, and it was really fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you did it.
Can you stay present, please?
Sure.
What was that?
It was a text
From?
my husband.
Said what?
It talked about how Paul McCartney was in Metuchen and how it would be really cool if Finn got a picture with him. And I said, do you think Finn would care? Thinking back to when Finn totally, like, rebuffed Carrie Elwes.
Well, because he was sleepy.
And then he was like, Blackbird's one of his favorite songs. I was like, true, that is what inspired him to become a singer. So that would be pretty cool.
Yeah, you weren't even thinking of that. I was thinking he would probably just be like, Blackbird.
Yeah, and I'd probably be really nervous if I wouldn't say anything.
He probably wouldn't even know who it was.
I'm sure his dad would tell him. As long as they'd be like, go stand near that random old man so I can take your picture.
Like, are you my grandpa?
Are you Pop? He'd be like, yes, sir, don't you wish I was? I don't actually know what his accent sounds like.
Yeah, that sounds just
probably
like
more posh than that. I don't really know.
Anyway, there were a bunch of blackbirds in the yard earlier.
But not blackbirds.
Well,
crows.
Yeah, I think
corvids.
I think they were crows. And I was like, oh, they're about to get murdered. And then
but you really shouldn't like. You should not antagonize crows.
Should it? They were out.
You shouldn't. I'm just saying. Don't be like, ooh, they're gonna get murdered. Whoever you are out there, this is a PSA. Do not antagonize corvids, so crows or ravens. They're smart. And they can remember your face for like up to 2 years. And they also disseminate information amongst their murder, which is their group. So if a crow sees you and you're nasty to it, it tells all its crow friends, yo, that person's a jerk. And then they will act extremely creepy towards you. Like, very, very creepy to the point where you think you're in the birds or something. And they'll like circle up around you and like caw at you intimidatingly.
Caught you into
But if you're nice to those types of birds, sometimes they'll bring you shiny presents that they find. So you can be mean to like cardinals, blue jays, whatever. Just a word to the wise, don't antagonize crows. Unless you plan on moving away for at least 2 years.
That makes sense. I wonder how far their social networks go.
I know, probably not too far, I wouldn't think. Yeah, maybe it's like a worldwide.
Like, squawk, 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 squawk. And then there's one that's like pecking.
They say caw.
There's one that's like pecking on like a piece of like pecking on like some kind of piece of wood. And
I really hope crows don't listen to this podcast because they are going to know that you're enemy number one the way you described them.
It has a picture.
As a common woodpecker.
It has a picture of your face. Like,
they're like, gah, gah.
Like a police.
Like a most wanted
thing. And then they're like...
Yeah, seriously. They like walk around, they canvas, they're like, have you seen this man? And they hold up your picture from inside their little wings. Ugh, anyway. So, yeah, that's my piece of advice to you guys. Remember Dad said once that he like yelled at that crow and then it would like bother him all the time?
Yes.
So he's probably right. That probably really did happen. All right, so now you need to tell us about your favorite attraction.
Yes. So... Okay. Sorry. Okay, I have a side note first. Remember when we met Carrie Elwes and he did this thing with Finn's hair?
Tousled it? Yeah?
Yeah, I call that tousling. Actually, I think I used to call it tussling. No. I think I've always called it tousling. Anyway, so I was like trying to figure out how to pronounce it or if it's really what it's called. So I was like asking my classmates, and I was like, what do you call it when you, like, rub someone's hair? And I, like, moved my hand in the way that you would if you were tousling someone's hair. And I was like, what is it called when you, like, rub someone's hair like this? And the guy in our group was like, ecstasy.
That's creepy. Actually, you kind of just look like you were doing a marionette puppet, actually.
Anyway, it was just so funny. He's like, I love when people play with my hair. And I was like, well, okay. But, like, I mean, what's the verb?
So did they come up with it?
Yeah. Well, then I was like, I think it's, like, tousle. And then I spelled it. And then someone's like, well, how do you... They'd, like, not heard of that word, actually. So then they were, like, looking it up, and it did say that. And it was, like, to make untidy or something, especially hair. Then,
particularly in reference to her.
And then they did, like, the... How do you say this word? And it was, like, tousle. Like, mouse.
Yanni.
What was that from?
Laurel. Yanni. It was like the green dress or whatever.
Oh, yeah, that
the
was
white
so weird.
dress, the white or blue dress. Yeah, that's weird. Yeah, like that's like the word slough. I like just recently learned how to pronounce that word.
I don't even know what that is. Oh, slow.
I always thought it was sloth, but it's slough, which I'm like, I feel like it shouldn't be.
Well,
Like slough is too silly sounding of a word for like.
what does it mean though?
It's like when you like. When something, like, gets kind of pulled off in a sheet. So, like, you can say, oh, because when I hear it a lot, it's like, in radiation poisoning, your skin sloughs off. So, like, kind of comes off all in one. Or they were talking about in the Grand Canyon, like parts of the canyon wall slough off the side. So, like, if you dig a hole and it, like, kind of caves in on the sides.
From a meteorite or something, right?
Yeah, right. So, I don't know. But that's a silly one.
But it's spelled Slough.
Yeah.
Well, what about the Huffs?
What about him?
That should have
I'm
given
not
me
saying
a
it
clue
can't be
as to how it
pronounced
was
that way.
pronounced.
Okay, but OUGH isn't always pronounced uff. It's also pronounced
Enough.
off, cough, trough.
It's cuff. Truff.
Truff. Okay. Anyway, moving on. Oh, you didn't even say your favorite
What
coaster.
about kerfuffle?
Can you just focus, please?
Wouldn't it be weird if it was spelled like that?
Yes.
PH.
Okay, just focus.
Anyway, my favorite is El Toro. It's at Six Flags Great Adventure,
the best of
which is in Jackson, New Jersey. And it's honestly my favorite roller coaster that I've ever been on so far. I haven't really been on that many coasters, I guess. Well, okay. Compared to some, I've been on a lot of coasters, but there's still a lot of coasters that I haven't been on.
Cool.
But Shirk. Anyway, I'm super into coasters. Sorry. Let me do it the way you do it. First, you sit down, and then if you're fat, you worry that your seatbelt won't fit because they like push the seatbelt lap bars down really tight, and if they
And like, is it worse or better when people cheer when it fits you?
I don't know. Anyway, so then it's worse when they like do it and they're like, okay, go, go, go. Like,
Yeah, and you're like, wait,
oh,
is it
gonna
clicked?
pop open? And then you turn around a corner and you go up. But you go up quickly. Zoom! Instead of a click, click, click. Sorry, I'm not doing the word sound effects. Anyway, it's really fun. It's a wooden coaster, but it's really fast. The first drop is a 76 degree.
76 degree angle.
Which is pretty steep.
Yeah, that's like almost obtuse.
Okay.
I was going to say something. Oh, I like El Toro a lot too, but I feel like I'm kind of like over most of the roller coasters at Six Flags because we've just gone on them so many times.
So why? Just
like,
because you know every curve like the back of your hand? You
yeah,
probably
like
know it better than the back of your hand.
The part...
Do you like really know the back of your hand well?
I don't know.
I
Not
really
really.
don't. I don't even know either parts of my hand.
I don't look at the backs of my hands.
I know what
I'm
they
not
can
a huge
do.
fan of
I don't
them.
know what they look like. I don't really ever look at my hands.
What can they do? Like, what do you do with the back of your hands a lot?
What?
Test the temperature of people's foreheads? Like,
I said I don't even know what the front of my hands look like. And I was like, I don't know what my hands look like in general. I know what they can do.
Okay.
And you're like, what can they do? And I was like, I'll tell you.
This week's podcast is about things hands can do. No, but I just feel like part of a roller coaster's enjoyment is the thrill and the anticipation and like, the unknown. So when you like expect every drop, it's like not really as fun.
Still fun, though.
It's fun, but it's not as fun. So sometimes, like, going on a newer or more novel to you roller coaster is more exciting. Also, like, I get motion sickness now, so that's great.
That's too bad.
I know, it's lame. But yeah, that one's pretty fun.
Yeah. So,
And there's no flips, so if you're not into the, you know.
if you don't go on a coaster because you're scared of flips, you probably wouldn't like El Toro. If you happen to go to Six Flags Great Adventure, you should just stick to Harlequin's Crazy Train and the Runaway Train. The train-based roller coasters.
Right. What about that, pirate train one?
That one's like kiddie, though.
That's kind of scary. I'm just saying, for kids.
It's not scary.
All right.
It's scary for kids who want to become singers, I guess.
No, it's scary for all kids.
Anyway. All right. So, the last kind of random topic. So what we're doing tonight is we are actually covering a lot of the like topics that people gave us, but then we're going to get into a true topic of the week in a little bit. So the last, I guess, small thing we're going to talk about is internet trolls. Renee's husband, Tim.
I feel like we've talked about it before.
I know, but like he listed a lot of topics. Do you want to just like read what his tweet?
Do you have it
what
up?
his Insta thing was?
Was it on Facebook or Insta?
It was on Instagram. He listed a lot of topics he wanted to discuss, and I'm really not sure if he was being serious about any of them.
Okay, let's see. Let me see.
Well, I'll just tell you, one of them was fun things to do in and around Seattle. And I was saying just stay tuned because we're going there this summer. Renee and I are going there in a couple of weeks. And then we're going back this summer with friends. So we'll let you guys know on a later podcast.
Yes, we'll do like probably a crossover episode with the Beefy Boys while we're out there. So I'm sure we'll have some of that stuff on there. So Finnegan's dad, said current politics, boomers, things to do in Seattle, Portland, why the Beefy Boys podcast is in sharp decline, the XFL and how no one cares about it, food prep, and that's pretty much it.
Oh, is that it?
That's pretty much it.
Didn't you have a hickey or something?
Yeah, why Renee has a hickey on her chest.
Mm.
It was a vacuuming accident.
Oh.
Yeah. I don't really know how to clean, so.
Your hands can't do that?
No, my hands can't. So, yeah, I don't really personally, well, I don't know. We don't really do, like, politics specifically.
I feel like no extreme need to do politics because mostly I'm just, like, not super politically informed. And don't be a snob about it. You aren't either. You are not either. So you are, like, minimally informed, so don't be an asshole about it.
How do you determine that? I'm just curious.
Based on, like, other people who know a lot about civics and about politics. You don't know that much.
Okay, but I know a lot about presidential candidates who are out running right now.
Do you, though? A lot?
I mean, I know a good amount about them.
Okay, I'm going to find some tests for you to take. We'll test your knowledge.
All right.
No, you can't study now.
I'm
just
not studying.
Do what you've been doing.
I listen to news and politics every morning.
Politics? Whatever.
So I'm just saying, I'm definitely not, like, minimally informed. I would say I'm pretty moderately informed.
Moderately informed?
Yeah.
I feel like it's one thing to know stuff about, okay, so you know stuff about the presidential elections or the presidential candidates, but, like...
And goings on with other countries. International policy. The phone is ringing.
But do you know anything about, like, national policy or, like... actual things
just
that, like,
that's
the
in
legislators
the news.
are doing.
I don't, like, go and study all the new laws. Like, if they're in the news, I hear about them. But anyway.
I don't even trust you.
Okay.
I don't think you're that involved as you seem to be.
I mean, okay, whatever. It's not like I go around being like, ooh,
yes, you do. You act really snobby about it. You're like, oh, you don't even care about politics. You're so ignorant.
Okay.
So bad. Oh my gosh, so bad.
The Beefy Boys podcast, I don't really know what's going on with them. They haven't had an episode lately with all three founding members, which they call the Fearsome Threesome. But
did you ask Tim what he meant by that? You saw him.
I think he's just saying the last few episodes have been boring. But that's because they haven't had their dynamic of all three of them.
I would like to see what Tim's podcast would be like if he thinks all these podcasts are so boring. Challenge, Tim. Challenge to you. Create your own podcast. Not using our equipment.
Yeah.
see.
Okay. The XFL, do you know what that is?
It's that, like, off-season football league. I only heard about it on the Beefy Boys.
Football League. I think that's what it stands for. So they had, like, a pretty good opening
Then
week, I
wouldn't
guess.
it be the EFL?
No, it's Extreme, not Extreme.
That's rough.
Yeah, food prep. We did some food prep yesterday, and by we, I mean me, and it took a long time.
Yeah.
What?
It took the same amount of time it would have taken if you had to do it regardless.
No, it wouldn't. If you helped me, it would take half the time.
Okay, if I helped you, but if you were prepping that food for yourself, it would
I would have made half the food.
No, you wouldn't have.
Probably, I would have.
Probably not.
Maybe.
So you would have taken your entire bag of grapes and you would have only plucked and washed half of them?
Maybe.
That's dumb. Doesn't make any sense.
Maybe I would have bought... Actually, that's kind of a pet peeve of mine, that you can only buy, like, really big bags of grapes. Like, sometimes I don't need, like, 3 pounds of grapes. Like, I just want, like, a travel-sized bag of grapes. Grocery store people, just get on that. Thanks.
So, at the summer camp where we work, they have this program they do for lunches. And you
with
could...
Goya?
Program is not with Goya. Sorry, Renee was confused. Anyway, but... They have side dishes, and one of them was, like, a bag of grapes. And so I thought that it was, like, a prepackaged bag of grapes.
Like how you get, like, at Wendy's or something?
Yeah, like apple slices. But then, like, where we used to work, they would sometimes have, like, bags of grapes, and they were, like, really fresh and good. But this was just, like, a little snack, like a Ziploc bag. Okay.
But not even a
Ziploc bag. A folding sandwich bag.
Yeah.
And there were, like, 6 grapes in there. I'm like, who is this a serving of grapes for? A baby?
Babies can't eat grapes. Oh my god, you're the worst babysitter ever.
Babies eat grapes.
Not whole ones.
No, cut
Choking
grapes.
hazard.
Cut up grapes is, like, a great snack for babies. Frozen ones, great for teething babies, they say.
Who?
It's like what everyone
Grape
says.
farmers.
Anyway.
I don't know.
So.
I don't know about all that. But anyway. Food prep? I don't know. It's like, it's so good, but it's just like,
did you even
so
read the outline,
time-consuming.
Renee?
I did.
I just wanted you to read his text. I didn't want you to then
Oh.
talk about every single thing.
Well, you didn't say
because
that.
food prep is on the outline in, like, 6 points.
What?
And now you're talking about, oh, you didn't read the outline?
I didn't memorize the outline.
Oh. Fired.
Okay.
You're dismissed.
Okay, bye. I'm
That was
leaving.
good.
Going home and going to bed.
Pretty good.
All right. So, okay. So
All right.
keep leading then.
We'll move on to the main topic of this episode. This comes from Terry P. on Facebook. Why does it turn out that your mother is always right? So this week, we'll talk about work. Because Momily suggested that that's what we talk about this week. And she's
Moms are
always right. So she said on Facebook, let's talk about choosing a career you love and work-life balance. So we're going to get into that after this break from our sponsors.
This week's podcast is brought to you by the Beefy Boys. Just 3 cool dudes hanging out, talking about sports, video games, music, and whatever else they feel like. Find them at their website, www.beefyboys.com. Also, where you find your other podcasts, iTunes, Podbean, YouTube, you know, all the regulars. The Beefy Boys, the best show on planet Earth.
Okay, we're back. Nothing weird happened. Sarah, don't tell them about that. Anyway, so we're going to talk about work and work-life balance.
I saw a meme on Facebook that was like, 7 years ago today, Britney released Work Bitch. The unemployment rate was 7%. Now the unemployment rate is 4.6%. Coincidence? And I was like, that's pretty funny.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So, choosing a career is tricky.
It sure is. Oh my god. What? And maybe she has to go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Do you want me to get her?
I can let her out. We can put her outside.
Okay. Alright, big girl, come on.
Potty?
You better want to go outside instead of just being annoying. See? She avoided all the wires.
Oh, so smart. That's so funny, Brittany. Anyway, so, it's, like, always interesting to me that kids go to school, they go to college when they're 18, and it's like, they're supposed to pick a major that will essentially determine, like, what they're going to do with their life.
Right.
And they're going to work for, like, 40 years. 50 years, probably.
It's pretty crazy. You don't realize how young 18 is until you're not 18 anymore, I feel like.
Well, yeah, when you're 15. When you're 18, you're like, I know how
I'm
Wild
a grown
West.
person. I'm an adult. Yeah.
I've seen things.
Because even, like, my kids, my seniors that I have, like, they're just such babies still. I'm like, you guys are so, like... Sometimes you, like, look at them and you're like, oh, yeah, they're adults. And then sometimes you're like, oh, my God, you're so not adults. Like, you are so ill-prepared for the world. But that's okay. Like, they'll learn.
And then there's some jobs, I think, where, like, you probably do learn stuff. Like, I would think computer science. But being a doctor, like, I wonder how much you learn in undergrad.
Yeah, true.
I
Maybe
mean, like,
being, like
I think computer
I don't know.
science.
Computer
Probably.
science, yeah, like, that's kind of practical. Engineering, probably.
Yeah.
You learn stuff in college that you would really need on your job. And, like, teaching, sure. You learn strategies and stuff. But realistically, I feel like you don't actually learn how to do your job until you're at your job.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think college really generally prepares you that well for
Well,
the
in a
workforce.
teacher ed programs always involve placements.
Right. But would you consider
And-
that part of, like, the school experience? Because
Well,
then, like,
yeah.
wouldn't you consider, like, residency part of the doctor school experience?
I'm talking about undergraduate degrees, Renee. I'm not talking about a medical degree. That's like an additional 6 years or something.
True, I guess.
Obviously, even if you're becoming like a therapist or something, you're also going to have like practicums.
Yeah, like,
I'm
job
not talking about
placement's
graduate
important.
school. I'm talking about undergraduate school.
Okay, so, like, nursing, then, you could put in there. So, nursing, teaching, maybe you're saying computer programming. But, yeah, like, there's so many jobs that people have that I'm like, what is your job? You know, like, when they, like, say their job title and you're like, oh. And then my question's always like, what does a normal day at work look like for you? Like, what does that mean? And then they're like, oh, well, I look at this spreadsheet and then this one. And I'm like, all day for your whole life? Like, that sounds so boring. And also, like, is that enough work for a whole job? But it is, obviously, because there's, like, things that you don't, like, know what they're doing. But it is kind of hard to grasp. And, yeah, I don't think, like, you really are probably going to learn the skills that you need at that type of job in school.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like there's a lot of stuff that people do that have people who have college degrees who are doing things that are not at all related to like the major they earned.
Right, and it's kind of stupid when they're like, when some jobs need a degree and it's like, any degree. And it's like, but then what's the point? Like,
Yeah.
if you're just using a degree to say we want you to have a degree, but it doesn't actually matter what your degree's in, then it's like, well, then does it even matter that I have the degree if I have the skills?
True.
So I always feel like that's kind of annoying. And I do think some jobs are, it's hard because like a lot of jobs that are like entry level want you to have like at least a bachelor's degree and like X amount of work experience for supposedly entry level jobs, which is like, how are you even supposed to get them if they're entry level and you need 3 years of work experience? But okay. But I feel like there are some companies that are looking, especially more like in the like in trade and stuff, that are like moving more towards skill sets versus like degrees.
Have you actually seen these things though?
Well, like the company that my friend's husband works at, he didn't have a college degree, and like they basically like are saying they need to start hiring people like just who have these skills, like regardless of educational background, because they just need people who know how to do this stuff.
Because he's old. He's worked there for a while, right?
He's not old. I mean, he's like
Isn't
40.
he in his 40s?
Yeah, like
So
early
he's been
40s.
working for like 20 years. That's
Yeah, he's been working for a pretty long time, and he was
You
like
were 10 years old 20 years ago.
right. So he's been with that company for a long time, and he kind of got like lucky in the sense that he
I mean, our dad
grew with
didn't
the
have a
company.
degree.
Yeah, it's like the same kind of idea. But there's like so many jobs that I'm like, I could definitely do this job if I got on the job training, and I don't feel like I really would be missing that much from not having gone to school for it.
For teaching?
No, for like other jobs, I feel like most jobs I feel like I could probably do if I had on the job training. Like, I don't know that I'd like them, but I'm sure I could do them and probably be semi-successful at them.
True. So, like you said, like, usually people take a job, stay in the job, but sometimes you hate it.
Oh, I was, like, talking to my students today, and they were saying something about, oh, the one girl was like, you should go to another school. Like, the school's so bad. And I'm like, why? I was like, where should I go? And they're like, I don't know, go to, like, some other place, like California. And I'm like, well, I can't really go to California. But I was like, no, guys, I'll probably just stay here for the rest of my life and then die in my classroom. And they're like, that's so sad. And then they're like, and then the one kid's like, and then you'll, like, donate your body to, like, the body farm, right? And I was like, no, I'll just, like, you know, we have the brain behind the blackboard over here. I was like, they can just put my body back there too. So every time we open up the blackboard and look at the brain, they can also look at my decomposed body and be amazed by that. And they were like, oh God, you're so gross. But I was like, then I could just live here forever. Because our brain has been there since, like, probably, like, the 70s. It's really old. It's been there for a long time.
Yeah, but what do they think is bad about the school?
I don't know.
She's far away now. You should go to another school, though. One that's closer to where you live.
I know, there's perks. Go on. But, I don't know. I don't know what they think is bad about the school. They were just saying, like, some of the stuff is silly that the school does. But I'm like, I feel like it's true in all schools.
Yeah, it is. But you could definitely go to a school where you could work less days.
Work less days, yeah. I'm like, I don't
Which would be
work
nice.
that much. Like, pretty normal schedule. That's
do
true.
the students at your school think you're impressive, or do they think you're a total loser?
I don't know. Like, in what realm?
Like, I remember you said that, like, in affluent districts, they tend to think of teachers as just, like, losers who couldn't make it in the real world, so they decided to become teachers.
I don't know. I mean, like, I don't think that there's a lot of, like, innate respect for teachers, but I don't think they necessarily, like, think we're losers.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't know. My students, I think I have pretty good rapport with them, so I don't think they think I'm a loser. I don't think they think I, like, settled for teaching because I failed at something else. But they also know that I, like, teach college and do other things, so maybe if I, like, didn't. And I also think, like, if you're one of those teachers that's, like, really stuck up, then they might, like, think that about you. Like, oh, they're on a power trip because they couldn't do this or whatever, but
True.
pretty laid back.
So you guys know, if you've listened or if you know us, that I'm currently doing a job do-over, so to speak.
Career change.
I've also had just, like, a really rocky path in my life so far, so just decided to become a teacher. I always, like, worked with kids and stuff, but I never liked the idea of being a teacher. So
It's just kind of weird. Kind of surprising, I feel
I know. I think about it, I'm like, why did I not like it so much? But when Renee became a teacher, the benefits seemed very clear. So I was like, you know what? I really do want to become a teacher. It's so much better. I think, like, being a manager of people for so long, I realized, like, I really hate managing people. I mean, I still do
As a
that.
teacher, that's, like, all you do is manage people.
Manage students.
Yeah. You mean manage
Like,
employees?
manage employees, yeah.
I guess, but I mean, it's kind of the same
Not really.
in some ways.
I don't think so.
I guess if, like, you don't care about their grades or never get pushed back on, like, their performance.
It's different, though. Like, do you get pushback if a person's just not motivated? Like, you can try your best and do all different things, but it's like,
I mean, sometimes. It depends on
What do
the
you
type
mean,
of district
pushback
you're
for
in.
giving them bad grades? If my boss is like, just give them a better grade, I'd give them a better grade. I wouldn't really care about that.
You wouldn't feel like it's kind of cheapening the whole educational system?
No.
Because
I don't care about big
at
picture
college,
stuff.
when I'm, like, looking at some of the writing that these kids produce, and I'm like, how did you graduate high school? And then I'm like, oh, this is how. Like, for teachers who just push you through. But
Plus,
it's
you can graduate
systemic.
high school and be a really poor writer.
Yeah, but it's, like, incoherent sometimes. I don't know.
Anyway, I think it's a lot better than managing a bunch of staff.
Yeah, it probably is.
Because you're
It's not
also mostly, as like, you're ultimately only responsible for what you do.
Right?
And so it's like, even if you're doing all the best things, like, again, yes, if they're like, just pass this kid, fine. But, like, it depends on the district you're into in the school, because sometimes they're not like that. They're like, or they'll be like, just give them a D, you know, like, which I'm like, I know. Sure, that's unfortunate, but like,
yeah, I know. I mean, it's kind of unfortunate, but it's
I don't think,
the
like,
reality.
I mean, but other than that, like, you're responsible for what you're doing, and I feel like if you do the right stuff, it's good, you know?
Yeah.
And I mean, like,
she's like eating so loudly.
I know. She's having her dinner, and it's like so hard. She's like, got some kibble in my throat. But anyway, so, yeah, like, some of the students asked me, like, why are you doing this? And I was like, I'm doing it for the work-life balance, like, and teachers get so mad. Honestly, a lot of people are like, oh, really? And I'm like, honestly, most of the teachers I worked with, and, like, they do, like, no work after school. Like, you have to stay a little bit after school, but you had said recently that if you didn't have to, you would be able to leave and not do work after school. Like,
yeah, but I mean, it takes time, too. Like, there were times when I first started where I had to stay later and come earlier to get stuff done. But, like, it just depends how you structure your classroom and stuff. But also, I told you when you, like, decided to become a teacher, don't let the way that I handle my job inform your decision, because we are very different people when it comes to a lot of the ways that we, like, a lot of the standards we hold ourselves to. Like, I'm okay being kind of lazy. And, like, at work, you're, like, a lot more type A than me. So the way that I, like, run my classroom and I'm kind of laissez-faire about some things, like the lesson plans, for example, you probably wouldn't be like that, so you probably would need to devote more time to it than I do.
No, I don't. I, like, make no lesson plans. My lesson plan is, like, a very, like, this outline was, like, 1,000 times more detailed than my lesson plans. They're, like, 2 sentences.
Okay. Well,
or
maybe
it's
changed.
Like, because I'm like, I don't need to write a lesson plan like that, because if I'm, like, designing the materials or, like, curating the materials,
right,
I just need to write what the material is.
Yeah, right, what you think I'm doing.
Plus, like, another thing I did start doing, which I told you about, was the driving PowerPoints, where you kind of have, like, every activity, like, led by the PowerPoint. So even just by making that,
right,
it's essentially a lesson plan.
Yeah, but
I
even, like, with the
that
grading
stuff.
and the providing feedback, like, I feel like you definitely, like, online, you would, like, provide your students with, like, a lot of feedback and stuff, and, like, that stuff just takes time. So
yeah,
you might find that you're busier than I am, or busier than you expect to be.
I definitely would, because, I mean, like, but I like planning. So, like, for me, it's, like, writing lesson plans and, like, doing stuff like that. It's, like, I actually like doing that sort of thing. So, like,
yeah, so there you go.
Fine. Like, that's the other thing that's nice about teaching, is, like, I actually like it. And then, like, during the school day, like, it's actually fun. Like, I was lucky enough to be in a setting where, like, I only ever had to teach the same thing twice, because it was, like, block scheduling.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it will become less fun when you have to have, like, 5 classes at once, or they're all the same and you're teaching the same thing 5 times in a row. So, like, that could be
and
a
then
little
there's
boring.
days when you're literally like, did I teach this already to you guys? And they're like, no. And you're like, oh. And then, like, you'll teach 45 minutes of a 55-minute lesson and realize you had done it yesterday. And you're like, how did you guys not know? Like, no, obviously my lessons don't have a lot of staying power if you don't remember that we did this yesterday. And so I feel the need to say something about it, but
yeah, so
it happens.
I think if I was in the case where I was doing 5, I would have to have some kind of system.
Yeah, it's very tricky.
But anyway,
it's just funny because.
But I mean, like, I genuinely really like it so far, and I mean, I haven't obviously doing it for long. But even if you do,
big girls got the zoomies.
even if you in the beginning like have to spend more time like planning and doing things like that, eventually, obviously, like, you're gonna do it less because you're gonna be able to reuse the same.
It's good. It's great because it is fun and it's entertaining and it's not boring. And if you're having, like, a bad year with bad kids, you get new ones in just 10 months. So it's exciting. And then it's really nice to see where your kids go after high school. Like, that's just really nice to see them grow up and then just kind of see how their lives have branched out, and you feel proud even if that kid doesn't remember you, if you're like, oh, I remember them. They, like, did this really great project one year in my class and now they're, like, made some crazy things. So that's very cool. It's rewarding in that way. That's and nice. I personally don't, like, spend a ton of time outside of school on schoolwork. But that's also because that's, like, a decision I made. And I also don't really make myself super accessible to my students outside of school hours.
Oh, yeah.
which I think we talked about, like with email and stuff on the phone. Like, some teachers really are, and some districts even have like a 24-hour response policy, and like you have to respond to every email within 24 hours. And I'm like, no, that's not me. I'll respond within working hours if it
Which could
warrants
still
a
be.
response.
Oh, you have to respond to them on the weekends? It's not 24 business hours? Or the next business
One business
day?
day. 24 business hours. That's a very long time. No, they, I mean, my district's not like that, but I'm sure places are like that.
I feel like that's not, I feel like that can't be, because.
Yeah, it's probably more like in the working district, but I have had people with IEPs that say like, oh, you have to respond to all communication within 24 hours. And it doesn't specify like in a work day.
Yeah, I would clarify that, because I'm, like, you probably have to get paid if they're going to force you to work on the weekend or something.
Yeah, that's the good thing about being in a union. You get paid for all the extras.
Anyway, so, why do you think it's important to find a career you love?
Well, I think for the obvious reasons, but I also think it's kind of BS when people say, like, love what you do and you'll never work a day in your life. Like, work is still work to me, personally. And I love what I do. I love teaching, but I'm never going to be like, I don't need money and I'm still going to do this. Like, sorry, guys. If I win the lottery, I'm not coming back to work. Like,
Okay, I don't know if that's really what it means, though. I think that there can be a difference. Like, there's jobs where you really don't like them and you hate going to work every day.
Right.
And then there's jobs where you're like, ugh, you know, and you're just like, okay, I'll do it. It's like, whatever, but you really don't like it. But a job that you like you sometimes actually look forward to it, or you don't mind it.
Yeah, like, I like my job, and there are days when I'm, like, at work, and I'm like, this is such a good job. Like, I had such a fun day, or, like, this day was so easy. Like, I'm so happy that I have a job like this where I can just, like, do fun activities, but ultimately, I still always would rather not be working. So.
It also helps when you work with people that you like.
Yes, that's true.
Because then you actually... Okay, hi, Sarah.
She's sniffing you a lot.
She's sniffing? Yeah! She just licked my nipple.
Ew.
Through my shirt. Sarah, go away. What? No, I don't
You
think
have some food in there?
I don't think so.
Some popcorn
She's
in
just
your
aggressively sniffing me. So weird.
I don't know what's going on with her. She's
Because you
acting so
didn't take
cray.
her to play with the young pups, and now she's going to be up
We went
all
on a long
night.
walk. We went like a 2-mile walk.
Take her home with you so you can eat your cat.
That's weird.
You're so gross.
I'm just saying, it
I'm
sounded
talking
weird.
about your actual cat, Sir Reginald Floofbottom the Third.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about
My
any
students were like, that
euphemisms.
would be your cat's name. And I'm like, it is. What do you mean?
Okay. Anyway, yeah, I don't know.
Oh, it was so weird. One of my students today, so we had this kid in our class last semester in astronomy, and he's like on the spectrum. But he's like nice, and he knows a lot about astronomy, so he was like very helpful in the class. And then this semester he's not in that class, which is now meteorology. And we were doing something with modeling today, and the kids were like, oh, well, that kid's not here, so then at least we wouldn't have to feel bad when he goes around and looks at all the models and like tells me how mine's so stupid. And I'm like, come on, he wouldn't do that. And then this girl was like, Mrs. Mahoney, today he like told me he had an erection. And I was like, what? Why? Like, at that moment? And she's like, I don't know. And I'm like, well, did you tell him that's inappropriate? And she's like, no, I just like didn't really say anything. And I'm like, that's really weird. And they were all like, I don't know why he did that. And I was like, that's really weird. So then I was like, okay, I should probably like tell someone about that.
Yeah.
But it was like
strange.
really creepy. I was like, and he's not like, he didn't seem like the kind of kid who would like do that. I don't think he was like trying to be any type of way about it. Like, I think maybe he was just like saying, oh, that thing happened to me and it was embarrassing, or like, I don't know. It was just really weird. I was like, oh. So, it was really bizarre. Yeah, I was like, interesting. And then the other girl's like, oh my God, I can't even believe you tell her that. And I was like, oh, well, it's nice that you like tell me these things, but.
Yeah, that's true. It is nice when they trust you or whatever.
Yeah. Like, ask me, like, they're like, so, like, if you, like, knew that we drank alcohol, like, if we did, would you have to, like, report it? And I'm like, guys, like...
Yes.
I'm like, yes, if you're, like, explicitly talking about, like, drinking and, like, doing drugs, like, I have to tell someone. And I'm like, most high school teachers kind of, like, know what their kids do, but if you're, like, you shouldn't, like, tell stories about it at school or, like, you know, talk about, especially, like, if you're, like, driving or being dangerous in any way, then obviously we'd have to report it because it's not safe. Or if you're, like, drinking alcohol every day to, like, deal with feelings you don't want to feel. And they're like, oh my God, no, we would never do that. And I was like, okay, well, I'm just saying, like, we can, like, have fun conversations, but, like, don't talk to me about stuff like that. Yeah, I was like, don't talk to me about your alcohol use. Like, that can be a don't ask, don't tell policy in here.
Wow.
But they, like, are really convinced that I was, like, a major partier in high school. They're like, you definitely, like, partied so hard in high school. I'm like, I really didn't. And they're like, no, you, like, definitely did. I'm like, actually, I really didn't. Like,
why did they think that about you?
I have no idea. They're very weird.
I mean, you kind of did.
Not really. Not, like, with high school people.
True.
Like, I didn't go to, like, high school parties. I don't think I've ever gone to, like, a high school party in my life.
Not even, like, a nerdy one?
No, not really. Well, like a cast party from the play or something.
Well, you did kind of, because we had that one Halloween party, like, when I was a freshman and Joe was a sophomore.
Okay.
Remember?
So I was, like...
and you and your friends
So
were
I was
there,
in, like,
too.
7th grade.
It was, like, a very clean, mother-sponsored party, Halloween party that we threw. That was fun.
Yeah. Well, okay, so I guess I went to that one. Woo!
And that girl Amanda came as a man, duh.
Cute.
Sarah! Hey, what you want, weirdo? Okay, Sarah, that's weird. Stop. Why are you so aggressively sniffing? Hello.
Okay, so...
Anyway. Alright, so the last thing we were going to touch on today was just this topic comes to us from Kate on Instagram. Talking about pressures and stereotypes that women face, like, specifically in relation to working or in the workplace. So, Renee, any ideas? Any thoughts on that? I mean, there's obviously, like, sexual harassment. We did have a whole episode on, like, sexual assault,
misconduct,
sexual violence.
Yeah, so, I mean, there's obviously a lot of stereotypes that still plague women today, but I personally have luckily not really experienced too many of those in the workplace. What? I can't see what she's doing.
Now she's just sniffing this.
Okay, it probably just smells like something.
Why is she obsessed with me?
Probably because she hasn't seen you in forever.
Sarah. She slept with me last night.
Okay, so anyway, I personally haven't really been a victim of any stereotypes at work, which I feel like teaching is kind of more of a female-dominated profession anyway, so maybe it's like a safer place for women to be. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you dealt with any?
I mean, I don't think I really would notice it a lot of the times, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think, like, a lot of stuff is, like, has to do with, like, this idea that women are considered to be, like, more emotional. And then, like, there's adjectives that are used to describe women versus men. Like, a woman could be, like, bossy, but a man is, like... Takes charge, or some other positive form of that word. And there's probably other, like, microaggressions that I've experienced that I don't, like, really know.
Yeah.
Like, anytime someone says, like, for a woman, like, you're blank for a woman, it's like...
Do people say that to you?
I don't know if they have or not. Like, I can't really think of it, but...
Yeah. I feel like at work, I mean, at least in my workplace, it's a pretty good environment, so I haven't noticed any of that, and our department is female-dominated, like, right now a lot. It used to be more equal, but we only have, like, 4 male teachers, including our special ed and the whole science department, so
yeah,
there's just not as many. I don't know if it's different for, like, administration, I don't know. Maybe, but...
And it's interesting because I was, like, noting on here that there's, like, a lack of women's representation in STEM. Not in teaching, really. In high school or K-12 teaching, it's mostly women. Not as much physics. Well, you guys have female physics teachers, but...
2/3.
That one, as far as teaching is concerned, is probably the more male-dominated one.
Yeah.
And maybe math, but I think physics probably more than math. As far as percentages of people. Because, yeah, in the program I'm in, there's 7 of us and 6 of us are women.
Right.
And 1's a man. But then also in academia, apparently there's a lot of sexism that's still pretty rampant because it's like an old boys club. Obviously, you're not really in academia.
Not really.
You're teaching
I'm an adjunct.
one college course.
I don't see
But
anybody else.
if you got more into that world or whatever.
I don't really have colleagues. Like, I do, but I don't know who they are.
Like, if you got more into that, like, if you were to get your PhD or something and...
Right, it's very possible. And then I guess, like, even, like, sometimes my supervisor, like, people at work will, like... She is, like, pretty type A, too, and she's kind of, like... People will refer to her as, like, robotic and, like, other stuff, which, like, probably if she was a man, they wouldn't, like, say those types of things. So I'm like, I guess, but I also don't know, because I'm trying to think if there's any men at the school that are kind of the same personality vein, and I feel like there aren't any that I really know of, so I don't know if they would, like, refer to them the same way or not. But probably that would be one example of, like, she's not the nurturing type of person that people expect a woman to be, so she's automatically, like, standoffish or robotic or, you know, whatever else they want to say.
Yeah. Also, I think it's, like, interesting, like, there seems to be more rules with, like, dress codes, but I think maybe just because women wear more types of clothing typically, or, like, that's what's accepted.
Yeah.
But I know at my old job, like, we used to have certain events where we had to wear, like, particular dress code things, and some of them were stupid. Like, honestly, they just wanted to create this culture where everyone was, like, very scared of the senior staff, and, like, I don't think they didn't want to say scared. They wanted you to be, like, they wanted them to be revered.
Right.
But I was like...
And they would make you wear appropriate hosiery.
Like, if I was a teacher, like, even when I'm managing staff or if I'm teaching a classroom, like, to me, it would be the best if you just have that, like, rapport with the students where, not that you're their friends, but it's like you're their friend. You know what I mean? So, like, you're not actually their friend because you're their teacher and you keep it professional, but, like, you have a rapport with them like you're friends.
Right.
And to me, like, that's better than them being, like, scared to, like, say something around you, or making sure that they're, like, oh, we're seeing, like, the emperor today and we have to, like, be really impressive and, like, lay gifts at their feet or something. It's like,
right.
Why do you want me to, like, follow you around like you're some kind of god? Like, I'm just like...
yeah. Don't you, like, you want to be approachable. Like, you want people to be able to talk to you and tell you, like, when things are wrong and when they need help or when you could improve. I agree, but...
Yeah, so, I mean, I just know that we used to get, we had to wear appropriate hosiery, and they would tell us, like, this, that, and the other thing. But, like, what kind of skirts to wear, or you were allowed to wear pants. Like, you didn't, not like the women had to wear a dress. But it's just, I don't know, kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
Even just, like, in general, like, we were talking last week or 2 weeks ago about stress and how you can alleviate stress by wearing, like, the same outfit every day. A man could easily do that, and, like, people wouldn't really notice.
Right. That's true.
And if women do that, people are like, whoa, why are you wearing the same thing every day? It's like, because it's easier.
Yeah, that's true. Because, a lot of men just have, like, the same button-down shirts and, like, the same pairs of pants.
Yeah.
3 pairs of slacks or whatever. So, yeah, that's true.
So,
I mean, I don't know. There's definitely things about being a woman that are really hard, but I also would not prefer to be a man. Personally.
I mean, you don't know, because you've never been a man.
I'm just saying, right now, as I live, I don't feel the desire to not be a woman. I enjoy the benefits of being a woman, and I also...
What are the benefits?
I mean, there's certain perks, I think, to being a woman as well as drawbacks, but I think we're going to cover more of it next week, right?
Yes.
Go a little deeper into this
topic.
So
we'll expand this topic next week, make it a little bit more broad. So if you have any ideas or experiences related to being a woman or pressures or stereotypes,
and also it'd be really interesting to hear, like, a multi-generational aspects here, because obviously things have changed a lot for women in the United States. I'm not gonna sneeze. Excuse me. In just the past, several decades. So it would be kind of interesting to hear maybe stories from when you were younger and maybe how you've seen changes from the time maybe when you were just starting out with your job versus now.
Where are you going?
I'm trying to get this dog out of here. What?
She wants to play.
No, she can't. She's so naughty.
Okay, Sarah, just wait a second. We're almost done. So anyway, that also kind of reminds me what we were talking about with the adjectives of Taylor Swift's song, The Man.
Is it?
Have you heard it?
Have I heard it? Yes.
I think she came out with a new music video for it or something. But yeah, so basically talking about how she would be viewed by the public differently if she were a man. And it's very similar to like what we were talking about, where they wouldn't call me this, they would say I'm that. But that will bring us into our next segment of what's popping at the movies. We did not see a movie. Did you see a movie?
No.
So we haven't seen any movies, and our mom actually saw 2 movies today. But
I was gonna go to one, but I had a webinar, so.
But I remembered that I wanted to talk about the Miss Americana film on Netflix because I actually did watch that. Did you watch it?
I have not watched it.
Okay, so I thought it was good. It talked about basically like Taylor Swift and her rise to fame and how she dealt with everything. I guess she had like eating disorders. I don't know if she was ever really diagnosed or she was just saying that she would starve herself. But she basically, it talked a little bit about what happened with the whole like Kanye thing. And in 2016 when Kim Kardashian posted the video of Taylor basically saying like she was like that Kanye had talked to her about the song Famous and like all the lyrics and stuff, and she kind of was like, okay, that's how you saw it, so like it is what it is, not being like cool, I like it, but just saying like, okay, it's your version, thanks for telling me. And then basically it was backlash because she then was like, I never said that was okay, and then Kim was like, you're a snake and whatever. So then she went dark for a while. So
she got canceled.
So the video shows her writing a lot of music and kind of like and she's talking about that part in her life, and there's some clips from them too, and then talking about her development of her newer album Lover, and she just talks about different stuff. And there's one part where they're like said, I don't know, she says something like she just cares about her family and her friends, and then it shows her having dinner with her friend Abigail, who she does talk about in one of her songs from like Fearless or something. But her friend was a girl that she, like, I don't know how long they've been friends for. They were, like, friends in high school. They might have been friends from longer, but whatever.
Okay.
Close childhood friends. So they have dinner, and that's fine. But it's kind of, the video is still definitely very polished and manufactured.
Right.
So people are probably like, oh, you get to see the real Taylor, but it's not really the real Taylor. Right. I mean, Joe Alwyn isn't really in the film. He's in it like a little bit. They show like footage of her going backstage like after a performance or whatever. She also doesn't have any of her like movie star model friends.
Any of the squad?
Yeah. Which I know that whole era was kind of like the 1989 era, and then she kind of stopped doing all that because people were like, it's kind of BS that like all your friends are like supermodels. I mean, then there was like Lena Dunham, so like.
Okay, but like still famous.
Yes, still like super famous and like whatever. So I just felt like it was definitely lacking in that. I haven't really read any reviews about it or anything. Like it was fine. It was like interesting to watch. It was interesting, and she did seem genuine. When she was talking about how she came out to support the Democratic candidate for like whatever senator or something. Might have been congressman, I'm not sure, but whoever the person was running against had like voted against all these like women's like something with like domestic violence and like other things. So Taylor was like, I'm basically saying she felt really bad about not coming out during the 2016 election, right, and she really wanted to do it. And then she's talking with like her dad and her like team. And they're like, you don't have to get involved. And she's like, I have to.
Yeah.
And then she kind of like starts crying. And she's like, can you just like support me or know that like I have to do this?
Right.
And then her dad said something like about some famous guy. Like you don't see them doing it. And then the mom was like, come on. And I was like, okay, that's like, it was like interesting to watch that because I was like,
perspective versus
yeah, but I also thought like, okay, she did seem genuine there, like to actually want to like do it, and I was like, okay, I can see that as like her team always being like, and she mentioned the Dixie Chicks and how they like said something about Bush, and then got super canceled, and like the entire country music scene was like, you know, and the death threats and everything. So I can see
The
how,
thing
like,
is,
that
it's
could
so
happen.
interesting because the older I've gotten, like, I used to very much not want to, like, stir the pot and, like, speak up about things, especially because I always thought, like, it doesn't really matter. Like, what I say is not going to change anyone's mind anyway. But now it's, like, I feel more and more drive to just, like, call people out and be like, no, this is wrong. And, like, we should say something about it, you know?
Yeah.
Even though I still am pessimistic about how much change it will have. But I feel like at least just feeling the need to, like, speak out about things.
You mean politically or...
Politically and just, like, in society in general.
Yeah.
Like, even when when we did post, like, our Me Too story, like, during, like, the Brett Kavanaugh confirmation, like, that really, okay, I've never really been someone who's, like, suffered from, like, triggers, but, like, that event was very triggering for me. And I was surprised by it because I never really had experienced that before.
Right.
But, like, then it, like, got me to examine my own trauma, and then I was like, wow, this actually affected me in ways that I didn't realize. And, like, I feel the need to talk about it. And, like, I feel like I want to tell people and I want people to know. And, you know, like, it wasn't enough to just say, like, hashtag me too. Like, I wanted people to know the whole story and to recognize, like, this is something that, like, bonds women and that's not okay. So.
Yeah. Like, someone sent me an unsolicited dick pic earlier. Yeah. And I was like, ew.
Right.
And I was like, and I'm like, and I was like, unsolicited dick pics are always gross. And he was like, unsolicited? He's like, I've never thought about that. Do people solicit them? And I was like,
yeah.
Well, if someone wants to see one, they could solicit it. Or you could ask, and the person receiving it can tell you whether or not they'd want one.
Right.
And he's like, I was like, because just sending it randomly is predatory. And he was like, oh, I never thought about it that way. Sorry. I was like, okay. He's like, well, if it makes it any better, I didn't know. Or he said something like that. I was like, well, it doesn't really, but okay. And he's like, well, I said if it does, but I'm sorry. And I'm like, okay.
I mean, I feel like it maybe kind of makes it better, but, like, if
it
he's
makes it
actually
better for him in particular if he's not being intentional about it.
And, like, if he's now, like, less ignorant
but
and
it
won't
also
do that
kind
again.
of makes it worse that, like, in society, like,
You wouldn't
people
even
don't
think
just
that.
know, like,
yeah,
I shouldn't just randomly show my penis to other people who, like...
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, like, or walk up to girls in school and be like, I have an erection. It's like, I don't want to know that.
Yeah, like...
Or need to see it. Like,
yeah.
No thanks. Anyway, so, yeah, it's interesting. But... you should watch the documentary. I don't think it's bad. Like, it's definitely very watchable. It's unfortunate. I mean, like, that's fame, I guess. But I feel like, it's like you said. You were like, if I was super famous and, like, a sex tape of mine came out, like, I wouldn't care. And it's kind of like, it's true. And, like, some celebrities release them on purpose, right? But, like... Right. Of course, like, when this happened...
let me just clarify. I don't have any sex tapes, but, like, just saying...
When it happened to Jennifer Lawrence, like, her nudes came out or whatever, her iCloud got hacked or whatever, and she was, like... And she felt very violated, which, like, you will, probably.
Right.
But she was, like, anybody who Googles that or looks at that, like, you're violating me again, you're a predator. And I'm like, okay, that's fair.
Right. Which is, like, totally fair. Like,
yeah, of course.
It doesn't have to be the same for every person. I'm not saying, like, if I was like, oh, whatever, I would be fine with it. Doesn't mean anyone else would be. And, like, that's obviously personal and, like, that's very valid. But, yeah, I mean, it's just...
No, my point is, Taylor talks about in the movie how she, her whole life, she considered herself, she always wanted to be good. And she thought, like, as long as people think I'm good... and I'm doing what people want me to do.
She's just, like, a people pleaser.
That's, like, how she felt her self-worth. And that's why she always was, like, I just have to do, like, what's gonna make people think I'm good. Like, I'm the good girl, so I don't say things about anything or whatever.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah.
And different stuff like that.
She obviously has, like, had low self-esteem, and so she just fit into whatever mold people wanted to cast of her, but...
Yeah. So, it's, like...
That's why, like, I told you, like,
But I'm just saying, like, if you have that much money, it's, like... But I guess if it's just, like, in her psyche to, like, need that.
And that's why I say, like, I have such a respect for, like, Miley Cyrus. Because I'm like, you know what? She's just, like, out there living her truth. Like, she got crazy for a while, but, like, she's very genuine. And, like, she's like, this is me. And, like, and I'm like, good for you. Like, you didn't, like, get beholden to, like, a Disney kid image. You... Maybe I don't agree with, like, the choices you make, but I appreciate the fact that you are who you are genuinely.
Yeah,
and then, like, to me, that's, like, what makes someone, I don't know, like, I think of that as, like, a someone who's like a better person. I just feel like when you're like not genuine, it undercuts everything else about your personality pretty much.
And it's like, I don't think but then it's like, that's why it's like, do they know they're not being genuine? It's like they're lying to themselves, I think. So it's like,
yeah, I guess
they don't even necessarily know. So it's like you can't blame them.
No, but it
like,
might just like make you lose respect for them or something.
Yeah, or yeah, and you just think of them as like not as self-actualized or not as like mature or whatever. But or have a higher emotional intelligence. But yeah, like Miley Cyrus, I remember seeing a clip of her on some talk show, and I don't know if it was like a picture of something she was wearing or if she was wearing something that was essentially kind of like suspenders, and it was just like suspenders and they were like covering her nipples, and that was like all that was on her top. And the person was like, oh, what would your dad say if he like saw you wearing this? And she's like, he'd be proud of me that like I'm confident in my body or like something, like whatever she said. And I was like, and that I'm not like afraid to like do what I want and wear what I want. And I was like, nice.
Yeah, good answer.
Yeah, I was like,
good answer.
Anyway, so it's interesting and it's tricky. But my point was, yes, I guess it's in your psyche. And then there was some other, I forget who it was. It might have been like Paul McCartney or Sting or someone. I literally cannot remember who it was. But they were talking about how, it was like Billy Joel. They were talking about how when you get on stage and you're doing like a stadium show or whatever, it's like you get so high off of that. Mm-hmm. And then when you're not doing it, it's like this extreme depression. So it's like heroin, basically. Like you're getting such a high from like the performance and the fans and everything. And then when you're not doing it, and I think Taylor talked a little bit about that too. So it's like, that's probably why she's so scared of like just saying what she wants and upsetting people. Because I feel like you can get to a point where you're comfortable enough that even if you get canceled, it's like, who cares? Because there's still going to be people, and then like people will eventually, there's also going to be a group that like, they're just going to like you for your realness. Plus for her, it's like, they're going to like her because she writes catchy freaking music. Like, so as long as she keeps writing catchy music, if she was more real, like probably, if anything, more people would end up liking her. Yeah. And honestly, let's be real. The Taylor fans are like super obsessed. So they would probably like her regardless of what she said.
Probably. Oh, that's
anyway.
Good necessarily, but that is true.
You can just keep doing what you're doing, Taylor. Be you. Sliss.
To me.
Sorry, that was just a joke from the Sonic movie. Anyway, alright, so the last one we have is just the Weight Watchers, or formerly known as Weight Watchers, whatever. I'm up this week. We're getting back into it. Wanted to tell everyone I'm into cold brew coffee, so I don't drink milk anymore.
But she drinks way too much cold brew. Like, she'll put an entire, 24-ounce cup full of cold brew. And I'm like, you're not supposed to drink that much cold brew.
It's just a venti. It's fine. You can't have the...
But without milk?
You're not allowed to have the nitro cold brew. You're only allowed to have a grande of the nitro.
You're only allowed?
They only sell it as a grande. But I don't even like the nitro, honestly. I like the regular cold brew better.
Okay.
Unpopular opinion, I guess.
All right.
But sometimes I used to drink 2 large lattes, so it's like...
That's a lot of coffee.
Whatever. I have long days.
All right.
But I was up this week. Renee came over yesterday and made a bunch of food for me, so that's helpful. And yes. Renee still hasn't been?
Not yet. I'll go this weekend, probably.
Cute. All right.
Cool.
So
next week, tune in for topics on more about being a woman and how it's sometimes hard.
And maybe a new song release from Renee. Nice. Meaning me. Will you have some guest vocals of Finnegan, your son?
Probably not. And I probably wouldn't have any instruments either. It'll be an a cappella song.
Get one of your coworkers to help you.
Yeah, we'll see.
Come on, D.
We'll see.
No, that's really, get the D.
No. Gross. All right.
Wait, I have to tell a quick story. So in my one class, we have we have to read 2 articles every week. One is a disciplinary article, and one is on the nature of science. So
that's a class I teach.
So basically, we have to lead discussions on the articles. So we have to make up questions, and then everyone answers them in an online discussion post, and then in class we lead the discussion. So he writes on the board D and NOS, and then the weeks, and then I was people were signing up, and I was okay, I'll take the D on week 6. And I was oh my gosh, so awkward.
That's pretty awkward.
So that happened. All right, well, this has been a great episode. Thanks for tuning in. We're the Deerfoot Sisters, and we're prancing away.